All right, good morning. It is Thursday, February 20th. Just a note, a reminder note. I'm going to go back to the calendar. Come on. All right, today is the 20th. We're going to start adding, we're going to set aside our building section for a minute, and we're going to put some text and dimensions in. Tuesday, there are no regular classes. The lab will be open. I said this was going to be a catch-up day, except that I think at 9 o'clock I have another group of students and we're going to do some virtual reality stuff in here. You are welcome to be in the lab the entire time, but there are no regular classes. What I do want to point out is there are it has not been well advertised. Click, 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 click. This one, Annual Student Conference. This guy is the keynote speaker. When is he speaking? Blah, blah, blah. He is speaking at noon on the plaza. The keynote speakers are usually great. Very good speakers, people who have done it before. They're worth listening to. If you want to know, there are a zillion classes. This is the whole catalog of things to do that day. There are all sorts of seminars, some related to school, some completely unrelated. If you are interested, for instance, in CNC machining, which would be a sort of CAD, but a different step, a different direction of using CAD for manufacturing things, they have a demonstration. This is down in the basement. If you want to learn Excel, if you want to go on a tour of the library, I'm doing the virtual reality thing. Yes, that's at 9 o'clock. Math is beautiful. I'm not going to that. Budgeting for success, self-care. There's some cool stuff over in the art department and the graphics department. So you can scroll through this and see all the different things that you might want to managing test anxiety. And then there are full descriptions in the catalog after that if you really want to know what they're doing in any one of those. I will have little pieces of paper. If you take a piece of paper, go to one of these seminars and have the speaker sign it, I will give you extra credit to go to a seminar. So that's an easy way to get extra credit. So that, no, don't come to my seminar because you're going to get my seminar some other time in class. I want you to go to somebody else's seminar. So that is Tuesday. Questions on that? All right. While I talk now, please open up your first floor plan. Whoops. And make sure you have these two layers, not the one that says no plot, just these first two. I'm having a hard time highlighting. So go ahead and add those two layers in. You might already have them, or you might have at least one of them that we in the course of what we've been goofing around with. Hopefully everybody can smoothly find where to put layers in. You're going to layer properties, which is about in the middle of the screen in AutoCAD, opening it up. You pick on the little icon with the sunshine for new layer. You're going to name these A-Ano Dims. Guess what goes on that layer? Dimensions. And A-Ano Notes. Notes go on that layer. In our business, the difference between dimensions and notes. Notes are text where I'm going to tell you what something is or what I want you to do with it. A dimension is where I'm going to tell you how big something is and where it goes. So dimensions have numbers in them. Dimensions are text. We put them on two different layers so that we can turn things on and off depending if we want to see those or not. So I'm hoping that people have them in. If you don't have them in, you'll have to create them later and you can move stuff around. All right. So these are all my little dimensions. This is what we're going to get to today. Before we do that, I overheard Doug tell somebody yesterday, oh, for the bungalow, you can use the windows you made for Tracy in her class. Those windows that you made don't fit in Doug's wall. Our wall is 7.5 inches thick, and Doug's wall is a 5.5 inch thick. So the fastest way to fix that is you can go over, this is the block you made. You can grab this guy. I'm just going to grab one of these guys and slide it over here. He is a block. He is, and his frame is 1.5 inches. He's 7.5 inches deep. I do not just want to edit this block, because if I edit this block and make it skinnier, 5.5 inches, then every single window is going to change to 5.5 inches. So I'm actually going to explode this guy. X for explode. And if you want to do this at the same time I'm doing it, that's fine with me. So I'm going to explode him, and he should turn from yellow to white, and he becomes individual objects. All right. I'm just going to put a little guideline. I'm going to put a little dimension line in here for a moment so you can see what I got. He is, oh my gosh. That guy goes there. Okay. That is a 2 foot wide window, and he is 7.5 inches, and we want him to be 5.5 inches. So the quickest way I'm going to do this is I am going to stretch. Stretch sort of implies making something longer, but I'm going to make it shorter. So there's not really a good word called squish, but if there were, that's what I'm going to do. I want this line and all this stuff up here to stay where it is, and I'm going to stretch the bottom half of these two rectangles in this line upward 2 inches. The shortcut for stretch, I do not even know if there's an icon up here to do it. I have never used it. So S for stretch, enter. The trick, and I've shown some of this to some of you guys, but it's a stretch works about 95% of the time. So S for stretch, and now I'm going to grab stuff, but I cannot just click on it. I cannot do this, this, and this. It won't work. So S for stretch. I'm going to select it using the green crossing window. So I started on the right, I left clicked and went to the left, and that's how I selected those three things. So now I hit enter because I'm done selecting objects. I'm going to pick my base point, which is anywhere on this window right now, and I'm going to slide it up, and notice the dimension on the left is changing. I'm going to slide it up. I'm going to type 2, and now it's a 5.5 inch window, and now I'm just going to move that guy to the middle. Now you have a shorter window. I'm going to type B for block, window, whoops, 24, bungalow. This, all I'm doing right here is making the block. This is the same process you guys have done 47 times. Pick my insertion point right there. Make sure it says retain. Select my objects, which are, now I can use the blue crossing window. Don't grab the dimensions, and say OK. This thing is still just an object. If you have, Lisa, I'm going to go ahead. What's your question? Too long of a discussion now. It'll be fine. If I can get in a couple weeks, go back and explain what I'm doing and why, but I would say don't worry about it for now. Oh, I screwed up one thing. I screwed up two things when I made this block. What layer should I be on? 0. And what should my annotation scale be? 1 to 1. Okay. Luckily, it's not going to hurt me. Notice how my dimensions went away? This is what we're going to learn today. Because my objects were already on layer 0 when I made my block. If my objects had been green or yellow, I would have had to start over. Okay. I'm going to do one more thing because this is a window now that's 24 inches wide. Anybody remember another width of a window you have for Doug? Do you got a 3 foot wide window? Or maybe a 28 inch window? I'm just going to make a window that's, I'm just going to copy this guy over, slide him over. He's still a 24-inch window. Let's say Doug's got a 28-inch window. I'm going to draw a line. This is just a guideline. Offset it 28 inches. That's just a helper line. S for stretch. Now I'm going to grab these guys using the crossing window. Grab the corner and go there. Erase my guidelines. B for block. Window underscore 28 underscore bungalow. Pick my insertion point. Say retain. Select my objects. Enter and OK. So now when I have go into my insert my blocks, I for insert. Where are they? They are window 24. These are the ones you made for me the other day. The ones I just, oh, there's the one I just made now. That's the 28 for Doug. So notice how I can't see all the text here. It's not very helpful. If you come over here to this down arrow, you can go to medium size icons, small icons. Oh, I like this one. So you can now see the names. Anything that has this gobbledygook, $C, that's a crappy thing that's a mistake I made. And I'm going to actually try and get rid of it. Select it. Oh, I don't want that. I'll figure out how to delete it later. But so you can change how these guys show up so it's easier. Oh, look at that. There's a list. That might even be more helpful. So don't be afraid to kind of play around with these. One other thing. When you're looking at this, all your blocks should be white. If you have a yellow one or a green one, it means you made it in the window or the door layer, and that is a no-no. So if you had this guy yellow and you need to move him, you can go into the block editor, and that is this. I type BE. You can also come up here to this little guy, and he says, what one do you want to edit? And I'll say, oh, I need to edit window 28 because it's in the wrong layer. I say, okay. I am going to go over this process again and again because we haven't had a lot of time to play with it. But now, notice how my background is gray. I'm in that's a signal to me you are not in the drawing, you're in the block editor. I can do whatever I want to this one. So I'm going to put a little circle in the middle. And I'm going to save it. And I'm going to close it. And it says objects that don't support the current edit, blah, 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 whatever that means. And now it is updated. So that's the block editing process.
Does anyone have Mac, and is that how it works on Mac?
No, it's not how it works on Mac.
Okay, so the Mac support group will be meeting after class for a big group hug. That part of, if you use my keystrokes, and for people who are Mac and don't, it's the icons I can't find on your Mac. Your keystrokes should do the same thing. For the most part, thank you. Okay. So our facilitator for the Mac support group will be Andy for today. So,
Andy.
all right.
What was your keystroke? Or what was the...
For the block editor, BE.
But in PC, what was the command to get it to change its layer?
I just selected it. And that, because when you go into it, there's lots of, you can double click on things and it'll show you the layer, or you can go on layer, yep, and then, oh, not that one, layer properties. I can change it. So we can do that separately.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So that is on our list of things to do today. Bungalow window. I wanted to show you how to quickly change those windows for those of you in Doug's class. Sidestep for a moment. If your name is on the board right in this corner, Patrick, Ahmad, Ronald, Jesus, Jose, Lisa, and Omar, I do not have your 3 floor plans. You owe me your floor plans for the cottage. ASAP. Okay? Yes, D2L. Put those babies into D2L. Taylor can help you with that if you like. All right, so text and dimensions. Hopefully you all have your building, we're going to set our building section aside for the moment. Please finish it and get it to the point that we were on Tuesday, which is having all the roofs in so it looks like a true building section, because next week on Thursday we are going to take what we're talking about today and apply it to that building section, but we're going to be vertical instead of horizontal like a plan is. Okay, so I have said lots of times so far, this lower, your annotative scale in the lower right corner, please change it to 1/4 inch. And I really haven't given you much time to kind of go, why are we doing that? If you remember way back day 1, day 2 or something like that, I said when we're drawing that, our display background is deep space. It's huge, it's infinite. You can draw anything you want, as big as you want in AutoCAD. When you are drawing this cottage, you are drawing it full scale, full size, absolutely as big as it is. That's what 1:1 means. Whatever you draw, how big you draw it, it's showing up on your screen that same size. It looks little because it's on your little itty bitty computer screen, but in reality, this is 8 feet, 10 feet, 24 feet, I think, 30 feet. This cottage, in the way we've drawn it, would just barely fit in this room. That's full scale. We cannot print out a piece of paper as big as this room and hand it to a contractor and say, please build this. It doesn't fit in their truck. So we print things on small pieces of paper, and we change their scales. Okay. So this is a better size sheet of paper of what I could give to a contractor. So these are elevations. This is what we're going to work on starting next week, which is why I want you to have your building section done by next Thursday, because this is what we're going to start working on. You will notice I have some green squares drawn on here. These are my viewports. They are like, I used to say television screens in the old days when we had the old televisions. That was sort of the television screen. Maybe I'll call it your monitor. It's your window into that drawing. This is another example. This, how many? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 purple rectangles, 9 viewports on this sheet. And the orange one, the big orange one, this is the full scale drawing. And each of these little details is a snippet of the bigger one. That's how we explain our information to contractors. We draw it in display full size, and then we create these little viewports on a sheet of paper called the layout. So if you've been looking at the lower left corner all this time, yours says layout 1, layout 2. That is your sheets of paper. So we're going to start setting up your sheets of paper so you can print things at different scale. In order to tell your computer what scale each of these is, all the purple guys are at 3/4 of an inch equals a foot. The orange guy is at 3/8 of an inch. That is what that little, where it says 1:1 in the lower right corner, that's where we set our scale. If yours says 1:1 right now, please switch it to 1/4 inch, because that's what we're going to print out. So go ahead and switch that to 1/4 inch right now, and I will do the same. Yes, Lisa.
If you like accidentally forget and it's 1:1 in your drawing, and then you go back to 1/4 or 1/4 inch, it's not, the stuff that you did in 1:1 is not going to be off scale.
It is fixable, and that is, it's not going to be wrong because you draw everything at true size. It will always be true size, 1:1. It's just it'll either not show up on your display or it'll show up the wrong size, and it is fixable. So don't panic if you have been working at 1/4 inch and then you look down and you go, oh, Tracy told me to do it at 1/8 inch, we can fix that. And you will all goof that up. Even if you put it in at 1:1, it's fixable and you will all goof that up. And then it's a teachable moment for Taylor and I to show you how to fix that. So don't worry about it. It is the most efficient use of your time to keep an eye on your annotation scale now and not screw it up, but you all will. Okay, so I'm going to switch down here, and if you go to the down arrow, you will see, and I do not know why. Okay, so the top half of this list, all of these guys are engineering scales. Do not use them. Linda, do not use them. Yes, you may. I'll answer your question now.
Is there a reason why when we're drafting or drawing, we wouldn't just leave it in 1:1 all the time and then highlight the whole drawing and switch it to 1/4 when?
Wouldn't that be cool if it worked that way? It does not. Notes, so there's 3 different things you're going to put in. So that when it absolutely matters is when you start putting in anything with letters and numbers in it. So dimensions and notes. So as of today, it matters. When you start putting in dimensions and notes, and you're going to get all sorts of information on here, and if you screw up your annotation scale, you cannot just put a big window around it and go, oh, wrong scale. Can you switch it? You'll have to do your dimensions in one fell swoop, your notes in one fell swoop, and your multi-leaders. Multi-leaders are notes with the arrow attached. Notes are just words sitting there hanging out by themselves. When you put an arrow to them, then it's a multi-leader. So you would have to do that in 3 steps, 3 different steps to fix them. Also, when you fix the scale, they sometimes jump around a little bit because when you put it in at one scale, it looked good there, and now when it switches to 1/4 inch scale, it's not perfectly in the right spot. So it's just time. It takes time to fix it, Lisa.
So the engineering one, the 1:1, we're not supposed to do that one for my blocks.
No, you do. The only guy you get to ever use on this list is 1:1. When you're making blocks, 1:1. When you're getting into architecture, you're going to, all of these guys, 1:2, 1:4, 1:4, all of these are engineering. So if you are building bridges and highways, you may use these. You may not use them any other time. So we're going to jump down. So 1:1 when you're making blocks. Now you get to go down here. Residential plans, house plans are most often done at 1/4 inch. So that's what we're going to click right now. And you'll notice that all of a sudden I have some dimensions on my drawing. I'm going to get rid of them, but that's because when I am in 1:1, you can't see them. It's not that they're gone, you just can't see them. Your display only shows anything that's drawn in the scale right now. And the only thing that was drawn in my scale, I didn't have anything at 1:1. How many little scales do you have down here, little triangles next to your annotation scale? Do you have 1, 2, or 3? 3. Okay, we're going to get rid of annotation scale of the current view, annotation scale, blah, blah, blah. We're going to turn off the middle one, and I'm going to tell you about the one with the circle. To turn off the middle one, go to your customization, so your 3 horizontal bars, and there are 3 that say annotation, scale, visibility. Turn off the middle one. Unclick auto scale. And now you should only have 2 little guys next to there. Okay. Did I just lost somebody? Okay, 3. This is customization, the very, very, very lower right corner. Click on it. If you go about 30% of the way up, you'll have 3 that start with annotation, auto scale. Unclick auto scale. Okay, you good? All right, so now you should only have 2 triangles next to it. This first triangle with the circle next to it, hover over it. I'm going to send Taylor up to kind of help you get. Taylor, can you come get Ricia in the right spot. The guy with the circle, if you hover over him, it says show annotation objects at the current scale when he's gray. If you left click him and he turns blue, so now he's turned on, and you hover over him, I'm waiting, show annotation objects always. If you are drawing dimensions and notes and they suddenly disappear, this might be your button, okay? You want this to be blue. Okay, I am going to change my scale to 1/4 inch. So you should have 1/4 inch, and you should have the little triangle with the circle on it turned on. I'm going to delete everything on my screen, and I want you to switch to layer A Anno Notes. Because we're going to put some notes on. All right, where are you? Here. Ba, ba, ba. I had one with the plan on it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the floor plan with the dimensions. Before we get to the dimensions, we're going to put the room names on. So you will see living room, mechanical room, laundry room, bathroom, kitchen, and dining. If you look closely, you will notice that there are the text style, or what I'll call the font for the word kitchen, is not the same as the text style or the font of the dimension number, where it says 13 foot 7.5. This font is called Stylus BT, and 95% of the architects out there use this font. I don't know why. We think it's cute. Looks a little bit like somebody hand wrote it. That's what we use. This font right here is Arial. It is very easy to read. A lot of engineers use Arial. We're going to use both of these for two different things. You'll also note, if you look at, this is my little note to tell you how wide this door is. There's 30-inch pocket door. He is also in Stylus BT. He is a note. He doesn't have an arrow or anything attached to him. This guy's a dimension. I don't think I have any multi-liters in here. So anyway, the other thing, so first of all, we're going to put the room names in, and we're going to use the room name text style. So this is one of the gifts that I gave you early on in the class. If you come up here to annotation, so these are where we're going to use to put notes and dimensions and multi-liters in. You can hover over these and see what they are. If you go to the down arrow to the right of the word annotation and left click on it, you will see that there are 4 options right here, and we're going to play with at least 3 of them. We might get to keynotes, I don't know yet. The first one, these 3 guys right here, if you squint, it's hard to see, but that's a little paintbrush. And the paintbrush means you're being creative, which means you are creating a text style is the first one. The second one is you are creating a dimension style. And the third one is you are creating a multi-liter style. I have already created a few of these for you. We will create some more in the future. You cannot use something if it's not yet been created. Okay? So if you go now, we're going to use a font name, and you'll notice, what does yours say up here next to the A? It says notes. Okay, so I'm going to go to the down arrow right here, and you should go to the down arrow, and you go, oh, look at this. There's actually 3 text styles already created for me. Tracy created dim multi-liter, notes, and room name. We're going to put the room names in. So which font are we going to use? You don't have a room name?
No, we just have dimension multi-liter.
Oh, perfect. Teachable moment. Let's create. So let's go to click on that down arrow next to the word annotation. So if you missed it, I'm going to escape out of that. Down arrow next to the word annotation, left click. We're going to go over here to the A with the paintbrush to create, and you'll get a text box that looks like this. You've got dim multi-leader and notes. You are going to go over here to the right side and click new, and you are going to type room name, and I'm going to type room, use caps please. I'm going to make room name 2 because I already got room name. And say OK. The blue triangle means these are annotative, which means they will respond to whatever you change the annotation scale in the lower right corner to. They are good. You want to use the guys that have the blue triangles. Do not use the guy that says standard. He's not annotative. He's stupid. He will not respond to the scale that changes down here. All right, room name. I want you, so font, I think it probably says Stylus BT on it. If you go to the down arrow, there are a zillion fonts. This is just like playing in Publisher or something. Ignore most of these, and you're going to find Arial. If yours is set to Stylus BT, you could spend half your day scrolling through and looking for Arial. If you just click on it, type AR, and then you'll get close. Then you can go to the down arrow, and you're very close to it. You could also type the whole thing in, and it'll get you there. And then your font should be regular. Your paper text height is how tall it's going to be when it prints on your piece of paper. We architects have picked 3/32. I do not know why. We have not picked 1/8 of an inch. It's just a little bit bigger, but we didn't pick that. And so a lot of times we all use 3/32. If it doesn't say 3/32 in there, go ahead and put it in there. You can just highlight this. Some of these give you rolling numbers, so you can just roll up and down. It takes way too long. So I just type 3/32, hit enter. Whoops, there it goes. Let me come back. Room name 2. Oh, I'm supposed to be creating. There we go. 3/32, room name, Arial. Make sure it says annotative. If you and I'm sure yours will. If you unclick annotative, you lose the little triangle and he becomes stupid. So we're going to click on annotative, which means he's going to respond to your annotation scale in the lower right corner. And now you can say set current, or you can do new and make a new one. We're going to say set current. I'm going to switch to my room name one. Set current and close this. And now when you go to your down arrow next to annotation, you will see yours should say room name. Got it? Okay. Now we are ready to put in text. There are 2 types of text. If you come over and just hover over your A with the word text underneath it, it says multi-line text. If you click the down arrow, there's actually an option for single line text. I never, ever, ever use single line text. It has very few options for editing it. If you use multi-line text, you can edit this thing almost as much as you can edit a Word document. You can put bullet points and numbers and tabs and all sorts of cool stuff. So I don't use single line text. If you accidentally click single line text, it'll be the letter with the blue line under it. You don't want that. You want multi-line text. Okay. Like many other programs, so I'm ready to put my text in. I click on the A, and then he says, specify the first corner. Lisa, everything cool? Okay. Specify that you're just drawing sort of a text box. Like if you have done other graphics programs, it's like, where do you want your letters? You're just drawing a box. So when it says specify first corner, I'm just going to pick a box in the middle of my living room, left click, draw a little window, left click, and then he says, what do you want to say? And if you look at the top, your dashboard completely changed. You can center justify, you can switch, I don't switch my text styles here, but you could. You can do bullets, you can do numbering, you can do columns, you can put symbols in, the little @ symbol, plus and minus, all sorts of funky stuff. All I want you to do right now is type the word living room using all caps. The nice thing about single line text, before you hit enter, if you hit enter, he thinks return. So if you hit enter, living, he'll just keep going. So don't hit, you have to actually click outside the window to get him to stop. So now I have some gobbledygook in here that I don't want. I'm going to double click on him. Come on. And I can come back, highlight this stuff, and delete it. The other cool thing I can do is you can grab the ruler and he will automatically stack. If you have, if you want to say living room with lots of carpet, and you go, oh, I don't want it in 2 rows, I can double click, grab it, and I can get it in 5 rows, 6 rows. I can do all this kind of stuff. This is what multi-line text allows you to do, is play around with this stuff. So what I would like you to do is go ahead and put the rest of the text in the dining room, bathroom. Let me see if I can call up the picture so you know what you're doing. So mechanical room, laundry room, kitchen, bathroom, dining room. Go ahead and put those 5 other pieces of text in there. Oh, you can add porch and stoop and porch up here as well. So I'm going to see if I can get this whole thing to fit on the screen. Yes.
It becomes like a little tab that you can like view it after.
Okay. Thank you. You're my next. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you get? No, 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 no.
What?
Where? How do you select the scale? What scale do we want to be in?
Should it be one of them?
1/4 inch.
Oh,
1/4 inch, and that is not. And these are the guys. Do not touch any of these. These are yucky, terrible ones. 1/4 inch is down there. Now try putting them in. There we go. Feel better? Did everybody get it to show up? If you were at 1:1, your words living room are there. They're just really, really, really small. They are literally 3/32 of an inch tall inside this big cabin, which is 30 feet by 20 feet.
What layer did you want it on?
Okay, A Ano Note. And you don't have that layer yet, so for the moment you can put them on layer 0, and then you can move them later on.
Okay. So when you went in there and you were changing the width of it, which would give it multiple layers.
Yep.
How did you do that? Because when I click that, I get this.
Okay, so double click on it.
That's what I
There.
Oh.
All right. Everybody got some pieces of text in there? So it's really, you can also, I don't recommend this because I've screwed up a couple times. You could, CO for copy your living room over, and then go in and change living room to mechanical room. The problem with doing it this way is you miss one and then you have something, it says bathroom in the dining room or something weird like this. Laundry. Whoop, 2 clicks. Well, that was weird. A lot of times I will, I'm going to change this guy to dining room. I like to center justify my, so if I want this in 2 rows, I don't like that left justify. So when you justify something, if you're not familiar with the term, justify means what side do they all line up on? So the D and the R line up on the left side, that's left justified. If I highlight them both and I come over here at the top and I go that way, they are right justified. A lot of times room names, this is really anal retentive. I like my stuff center justified so they stack right over each other. If you spread them out, you can't tell either way, but that's getting nitpicky. But all right, we're going to do some dimensioning. Now's a good time to save. Control S. Okay, I'm going to go back to my handout. I hope you have this handout with you, but it doesn't really matter because you should be able to do 80% of this without the handout. Dimensioning is an art, not a science. Everybody's going to dimension a little bit different than everybody else. I'll tell you the general rules, but if you look at my layout, you'll go, well, she broke her own rules. So, sorry. Generally, we dimension the furthest out, so these are all your dimension lines, also called dimension strings. We dimension the furthest away from the building is the out to out of the entire building. So I'm going to dimension, my first string is going to be this 24-foot dimension. So I'm going to go from outside corner to outside corner. The next dimension string in, and I'll go over to this side, is going to be wall to wall. So remember when we located the wall between the mechanical room and the laundry room? Those are going to be my next two dimensions, and then I dimension windows further in. So this guy down here sort of kind of follows my rule. 24 feet, he's the furthest one out. And then I went 10, 4 and a half. Then I went middle window, middle window, middle window. Residential construction, we tend to dimension to the from the outside face of the wall, of an exterior wall, to the middle of a wall, window, or door. So here's the middle of a door. What I'm going to have you do, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques. Please note that whenever possible, I line up my dimension strings. Nice, neat, and tidy. So if you look right here, you'll notice that the 10, 4 and a half is right parallel with the 13, 7 and a half. And the 4, 5 and a quarter, if you draw a line all the way over, lines up with the 4 feet. A neat, tidy drawing is a credible drawing. If your drawing looks messy, people reading your drawing will think that you don't know what you're doing. If you can't draft neatly, maybe you can't design neatly. So a neat, tidy drawing is a credible drawing. So that's why I get really anal retentive about lining things up. So I'm going to switch back here. Please switch to your A-Ano dimension layer. A-Ano dim. So now everything going in should be green. And this little dimension with the sunshine on it is very seductive. I don't use it because I find that you don't get as much control. As you put the dimension line in, it disappears from your screen, so you can't really see where you're clicking. Go ahead and play with it. I find it frustrating and not helpful. But it's new, so somebody at Autodesk must have thought it was a good idea. The one that I use up here is this little guy in the upper right corner, Dimension Linear. The shortcut for that, for you Mac people, is DLI for Dimension Linear. So I'm going to go click on this guy, and I'm going to start on the very bottom corner, and now is when you absolutely have to have your O snaps on, your object snaps, meaning this little box down here. You're going to go from the outside corner wall, and I always kind of, wiggle my hand around so you can see where it started there. And now I go to the far corner, and when I'm on the box, you can see the green rectangle, that's going to be my second click. Now I'm going to drag my hand down and give myself, about that much room, because I know I have to dimension to my bathroom wall and my 3 windows. So now I'm going to left click, and I'm done. I'm now going to dimension to the bathroom wall, and I'll show you a cool little technique, because I said residentially you go to the middle of a wall and there's nothing to snap on there. There's no little line that's going to help me find that exact spot. So I'm going to go back to my dimension, or DLI. I'm going to start over here, drag my hand over, and now I want to be halfway in between these two guys. So I'm going to hold my hand over here. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, right click, and I'm still holding down my Shift key. Now I let go of my Shift key. The third one down midway between 2 points. And now I'm going to pick these 2 points, and that's how I got where I want to be. And I'm going to come about there, so I'm about 2/3 of the way from the cottage. And then I can do it when I come from the other side, outside, and I can just snap now right on that little thing. So here's where you want to absolutely snap right on top of the other guy. You can feel it as you're putting the dimensions in that it snaps right to it. So now my dimension strings are perfectly lined up. And now I'm going to show you another little trick for the windows. So I'm going to go to here. So I click the dimension. One more time. You'll notice each of these dimensions they come with a little gap. So when I click here, it sticks to the corner, but when I actually put the dimension in, you'll see this little gap. And that is so that the dimension string, when we print these out in black and white, doesn't look like an object. It doesn't look like a sidewalk on the outside of the house or something like that. I'm going to go to the middle of the window, left click, drag my hand out here, and now before I do anything else, I have 2 more windows to dimension to. I could do that whole process again, or I can type DCO for dimension continue. DCO, hit enter, and he remembers where I was, and now I just click here and click here, and I know. Now he goes, how far do you want to go? And I'm like, I am done. So I hit escape or enter. So what I'd like you to do now is dimension the right side of the cottage. Again, your furthest out dimensions are going to be from here to here, and then from here to there. Your second set of dimensions are going to be to the middle of this wall and the middle of this wall. You don't have to worry about this little guy right there. We'll play with him later. And then your third dimension is to the middle of the window. And I'm going to save and stop my video and come around and answer questions.